A major lawsuit filed tonight against Vista Maria in Dearborn Heights. It's
months after an embattled facility for at-risk youth closed its residential program.
One of Michigan's oldest child welfare organizations housing at-risk girls.
Today marks the beginning of what they expect will be a much broader case as well. The lawsuit accuses Vista Maria of a long pattern of physical, psychological, and sexual abuse, along with unsafe conditions.
I know we have a lot of survivors here, but she's speaking on behalf of her daughter that did not survive Vista Maria. Her daughter passed away at Vista Maria on Christmas Eve. What was the year, Monique? 2014, Christmas Eve. Her daughter passed away at Vista Maria, and Monique wanted to say a couple words to you guys. She made it. She drove all the way from Chicago area to be here tonight because it was important for her to speak on behalf of Angelica. Come on up.
Thank you, Moose. I will never forget that Christmas Eve morning, afternoon really, because it was 12:15 in the afternoon. I had the house phone in my hand, and the call said Vista Maria, and I got excited because Angelica was supposed to come home for Christmas. I answered the phone, and the voice says, "This is Detective so-and-so from Dearborn Heights Police Department." And I thought to myself, oh my Lord, what did this girl do? Because she'd gotten in trouble about a year or so before she passed. And the judge had told her, hey, if you get into any more trouble, you are going to jail. And so the first thought in my head was she then mouthed off to staff because she was taking up for one of the girls and they had enough. This was literally what went through my head. And so he continues, this morning staff went to wake her for medication. She was not in line for medication, and so they went to her room to find out what was going on, and he said the sheet was covering her head, and they pulled the sheet back, and they saw the pool of blood from her mouth and her nose, and she was cold to the touch. And he said, I'm sorry, but your daughter is deceased. And I remember screaming as I'm pulling my hands up off the toilet. And I'm screaming, and I run to my roommate's room, and I threw the phone at her, and I said, she's gone. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I'm screaming, and I'm running around the house. And I'm like, no, it's not real, because I literally just talked to her the night before during our phone time. I remember she called me, and I was getting ready to go out, and she didn't sound right to me, and I said, what's wrong? And she said this to me a few times, we really can't talk about what goes on here. So I have to wait till I see you. And I said, okay. I said, you excited about coming? And she said, yep. And I said, okay. I told her I loved her. And I'll never forget, all night, that night, I had this weird feeling over me. I consider myself a very spiritual person, and I just had this feeling of a ghost, a presence of a ghost. I was on a date with somebody. I'm at a bar, and all of a sudden, it was like a haze came over me. All through the night, I couldn't sleep. All through the night, I've got this haze. And so after we got off the phone with the detective, I'm running through the house, and I called my mother. I called my kid's dad. I said, she gone, she gone. And they're like, what are you talking about? And what makes it so bad is you could see Angelica deteriorate. Every visit, it was like she had this look of being lost. She had this lost look, and the seizures had started about a year to 2 years. And when they first told me, hey, we had to take her to the hospital because she had a seizure, I'm like, what are you talking about? She doesn't have seizures. Angelica was in Vista Maria due to behavioral issues. The state of Michigan had taken, at the time, 3 of my children in 2006 due to allegations of abuse and neglect. And as she got older, she just started, I guess, rebellion. She became a teenager. She wants to come home. She can't understand why she can't come home. Behavioral issues started, and she ended up at Vista Maria the first time. And then when she went back the second time, I don't know what happened. I'm assuming they decided to give her a cocktail that would control her or control the behavior, because the medications that she was started on caused seizures. And you can see in her in the ME's report that the medication she was on was bound to cause seizures. And so the seizures started during one visit. Her partial, she had a partial, her middle tooth, it was missing. I said, what happened to your mouth? Well, I had a seizure and I fell and my partial fell out. I said, and they took you to the hospital? No. They stopped calling ambulances for her. Why? Because they assumed her seizures were fake. She was faking. These weren't real. Why? Because the doctors couldn't find out what was wrong. They kept sending her back to Vista Maria. We can't find any seizure activity. We can't find out what's going on. And I'm like, okay, she didn't get any seizures until she got with y'all. So I really need answers. The seizures turned into schizophrenia some kind of way. Her doctor calls me, hey, I'm diagnosed with schizophrenia. Why? What do you see exactly? And each time I got one of these calls, I'm reaching out to her foster care worker, and I'm like, what do I do? Because the state says reunification can't be the goal because she's getting too old. You have to go back to court. They said, hey, you don't have to come back to court anymore. I said, no, I do, because that's my kid. I still have my rights. Granted, I think at the time she was about 16. And they said, nope, we got to prepare her for life skills. I was so angry because I'm like, okay, you took her from me due to neglect and abuse, but now she's having seizures while in your care. Like I say, she passed Christmas Eve. The weekend before, she was with she spent that weekend with her younger sisters and myself. And it was like dealing with a child that really was not there. She would sit on the floor and rock back and forth. She'd forgotten how to do the simplest of things because of whatever medication they had her on. The last time we saw her was the Sunday before she passed. She come with her medication, and me and my roommate sat up on our phone looking up the pills and what they were for. And I remember telling my roommate, I'm not going to give them to her. When the time comes for her to take the medication, I won't give it to her. But it was like she had that internal clock. Ma, I got to take my medicine. Ma, it's time for me to take my medicine. And she was so manic about it. And I just said, fuck it. Here. A month after she passed, I found an attorney. He said, okay, I need you to get all the records because you're the mother, they'll give them to you quicker. And with each record, I'm looking at tests and I'm looking at doctor's notes and I'm looking at stuff I don't even understand. And Vista Maria dropped the ball. Not just Vista Maria. See me, I want the head. I want the state of Michigan because they knew each time they put a child, a female child there, what you were sending them to. You knew. You had to have known. Vista Maria been in existence over 100 years. There's no way in hell you did not know that you as a judge or you as a worker did not know what you were subjecting these girls to. I called my grandmother and, she asked me, why are you so upset? I said, because I'd planned to do everything I could to take care of her because I knew she was not going to live a normal life had she not passed. And as her mother, I was prepared for that, even though I didn't know what it was going to look like. And my grandmother said, well, maybe God did not want you to deal with that. As I said, I attempted to file a suit, and I was told in response, because she died of natural causes, I did not have a case. So I said, you know what, Lord? I'm not going to worry about it anymore because she's home with you. And continued on with my life. The pain got easier every year. Her birthday was July 20th. She would have been 30 this year. She was 18 when she passed. And, her siblings, she was the oldest of 6. It was a little harder for them because they were younger and they would call me so upset every year on her birthday. And what's wrong? Why are you crying? It's today's Angel's birthday. And I'd kind of smile, and if I was there with them, I'd hug them and let them know she's not suffering, honey. I'm looking at my 18-year-old now, and I'm looking at each and every one of you. She would not want anybody to feel bad about her being gone. I thought it was my grandchildren that God was getting me ready for when he called her home, but it wasn't for them. It was for each and every one of you, because you're still here and you have a voice, and you have to let the world, you have to let the courts, you have to let the judges, you have to let the state of Michigan and everybody involved know I'm still here. What Vista Maria and the state of Michigan didn't know when they stopped caring about my daughter, she got a mama that fights. Yeah, I might be soft-spoken. I might be cute and adorable. But when it comes to my children, I will walk through the gates of hell. And the same with each and every one of you. Y'all got a new mama, because each and every one of you are survivors for Angelica. And this is where I leave you. As I look out here and see all of you young ladies, I see Angelica in all of you. And as you all look back at me, I hear Angelica tell me, Mommy, I had to go so you could help them. I serve my purpose. That's what keeps me going, is you guys.
Your voice matters because evil doesn't stop itself.
It's time.